Welcome to UBBA Unplugged Live here at the 2024 UBBA Summit Plugfest. Joining me now is Dan Bayouth of Burns & McDonnell. Dan, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Well, Dan, if you don't mind, a lot of conversations are centering around LTE 5G deployments naturally. So based on what you're seeing throughout the industry, what should utilities really consider before undertaking a major project like this?
Yeah, it's, I do want to focus on successes and things we think are going really well so that, there are always lessons learned. Everybody has to try it first. But some of the things we think are going really well are when utilities approach this as a really end-to-end thinking throughout the whole process.
Sure.
It's easy to focus on the network itself and deploy a network. The problem is this leaves the whole utility in a position where we've spent the money, there's your cost, but when we looked at this to justify kind of the entire project, a lot of this starts with like a cost-benefit analysis. So realizing the benefits gets delayed a lot by waiting till, hey, we built this great thing and you're kind of waiting for the benefits to come in later versus thinking about it as end-to-end deployment. And this usually involves working across many different organizations, distribution modernization team, the actual ADMS itself, the field devices, the line crews, everybody from end to end to get those devices deployed almost needs to be, not almost, it does need to be its own project as you're working through it. And do it alongside the network so that when the network is lighting up, those benefits are realized on day one. So that is something, we're actively promoting. The thinking on is if you build this and wait for people to activate their devices, or you don't put the focus on how you're going to activate devices, you've left multiple technical things to figure out till later in your project. Could be 1-2 years later that you start that process when really it can be done in parallel. And so we're very much encouraging kind of that process of, hey, treat these as parallel work streams, because one of them is really getting a lot of stakeholders across the organization involved. And the other is really communication focused in deploying a communication system to be ready for all those other groups to take advantage of. So that's one area we've really tried to put a lot of focus on as we're helping utilities plan kind of the overall program schedule that's 2, 3, 5, 10 years out. Is you have to worry about all these things, and you got to get everybody bought in and understanding what they need to be doing and when it's available, so that, again, we realize benefits as early as we can, so that communications team can say, hey, look at the win here. We're realizing what we said we would in the business plan.
Absolutely. And that all comes back to getting out ahead of it at the planning stage, like you said,
Yes.
The earlier you do it, the better, and everybody will be on the same page.
Yeah. And then there's the, I come from a very heavy communications background. There's the fun stuff about, really designing the LTE system and taking a look at a system that, most utilities are learning for the first time, is where it's very important to not rush in and really understand all of your requirements. And a lot of important things like, what do your users expect during an upgrade? Hey, there's a lot of software here. We have to upgrade things. What is the expectation of uptime and reliability during those planned activities? And does that meet the user requirements? I mean, some of these things, I don't know, I'll take smart meters. If we take an outage on the network, we'll come back and read the meter later.
Sure.
That's acceptable. We have protection and mission critical push to talk and functions that are expectations to work every day in the field 24/7, that we need to understand the implications of the decisions we're making on the network side to make sure it's well aligned with the system that's going to be deployed, so that outage planning and maintenance don't create a situation where the users, the end users, the utility itself, are having unexpected results. So because I said I need 2 of these because that builds redundancy, doesn't really set the expectation of, okay, when a component fails, do I truly know, is my traffic going to be rerouted? Do I have a redundant component in the same primary location to pick up the traffic? those are some very nuanced things to work through that if you don't know to ask the question, you may just kind of get what you get when you say, I need redundant components in my network. So that is one thing we're working through actively, is how do we define that and create that expectation. 100% uptime is, we would all love that, but things fail, things need maintenance. We can't be absolutely perfect, but it is, what are the expectations so that when I put out the notice for an upgrade of a site or whatever, that the user experience is aligned with the design and the agreement we had when we set all these requirements. So that's been a very important component of planning, and not necessarily trying to rush to get all the decisions. Again, rushing to get a network deployed is great, but there's so many things we need to bring along with it to make sure the organization, all the organizational needs are met with the solution that's being deployed.
Got to make sure all the paddles are rowing in the same direction at the same time. Yep.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Dan, thank you again for being here, taking time out of this event to share those insights and just offer up that knowledge to our listeners.
Yep. Thank you very much for having us.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for this installment of UBBA Unplugged Live here at the 2024 UBBA Summit Plugfest.